Hello and welcome back to SML Total Access. I'm Primetime Triple Zero, and joined by me is my two trusted co-hosts, Matt and Dan. What's going on, fellas?
We're back. We're ready to roll, baby.
Hey, the gang's back in town. Thanks, Dom, for filling in for me. You did a great job, buddy.
Yes, sir. Hey, let's start off first down. There's some undefeated teams, and three of them are on this show, and one of them's Death Wish, who SML The Breakdown fixed. Who do you guys think is going to be undefeated the longest? And we'll start with you, Matt.
Yeah, so DW, I'm going to start with him. One of the nicest guys in the league, if not the nicest, always does the gift cards. But
Yes.
I prefaced that because I'm about to talk about him in not a good way. His next three games, Pauly, QP, Faz.
Ooh.
He's going to lose two of those. He might lose them all. He's not going to be the last undefeated. The Chargers, that's myself. I've got the Saints, the Falcons, the Raiders. That's Dump and Dom and Two Step. I know the NFC South isn't exactly what we'd hoped it would be before the cycle started, but those are really good players. I've also only thrown 2 picks in 5 games, so I'm due to throw 6-1. So I'm going to count myself as losing one of those two. And then Dan's got the Colts, not the Colts, the Cardinals, the Jets, and the Broncos. And I think he has to play all of those games without Bosa. I think Dan is as good as anybody has been this cycle. I think he drops one of those. That's just a tough schedule without your best defensive player. That leaves you, Prime. You've got Fig, Grams, and Fins.
Let's go.
I think just based on schedule alone, I think you're gonna last. I mean, I don't think any of the rest of us come out unscathed the next three. So I've got you, Prime, with Dan second. I think if he can get by QP, he probably beats Bomber and QB.
Yeah, what a shocker here. We're already back from TA and Matt's picking Prime, but unfortunately though, I think my logical brain has to agree. I think some of the schedules just favor Prime right now. I got some reinforcements coming in, some breaking news. I'm not going to tell you who, but keep an eye out for the trades. Something big's happening later today. You'll see it on the trade channel. But yeah, no Bosa. I'm going to be in trouble. I'll lose one, not maybe two of those games. And Matt's always good for one or two hiccups. And DW playing much better, but just not consistent enough. So unfortunately, I got to agree. I think Prime's going to be the last undefeated team.
Yeah, I appreciate that and respect those opinions. Really, my next really tough opponent isn't until week 16 when I play Faz and then I play Matt again. So I got a little ways. I got a lighter schedule.
Is Fast still a tough opponent, or
I
you
don't
looking
I
at
don't
Matt
think
more?
so. I'm looking more at Matt, to say the truth. I beat Faz and
I mean, wait. Let's just talk a second. Has Faz been exposed that if he doesn't have a super speed wide receiver, he
yeah.
can't score?
Yeah, he can't score. He scored 13 points and
What he
honestly,
score against Bomber too? He didn't score many
he
against
didn't score
Bomber.
many against Bomber either. It wasn't much. It wasn't much.
So he needs an elite quarterback and some kind of super stud receiver. I think.
Yeah, yeah. I would like to see him with Dane Dempsey. That's all I got to say. Uh,
Yeah, I agree.
um, hey, let's move on now. Second down on the show, and let's spread the love a little bit. It's Christmas time, kind of holiday season. Dan, who do you just want to kind of spread the love to?
Yeah, I want to spread the love to two guys a little unique, maybe a little bit under the radar. One is I want to give Biz a little love. Okay,
Wow.
he's above 500. I'm not a big fan of some of the stuff he does with Fields. I think it's a little too much for me personally, but it's a style and it's within the rules, so he's fine. But he's winning, and he hasn't won much, and so he's got a chance with some of those guys in the NFC North down this year. He might have a chance to win the division. And I want to give some love to D Muse. I mean, he was kind of lost. I mean, he was kind of writing his own obituary early in the season, and I think he's won 3 straight now and put a big whooping on Monty. And I think he's kind of righting that ship and has a chance to get back to where he is. Kind of a fringe top 10 kind of player. So both those guys having a good season right now.
Yeah, I like those. I like the spreading the love there, Dan. Those are two good picks. I think Dom's gonna finish the cycle strong. Mine, I've got two as well. I'm gonna start with Coop. I understand the guy hasn't won a single game, and he's 0-5, and I'm not spreading the love to just kind of make him feel better. But I mean, He lost 29-27 to QP. He lost 34-28 to Dan. Dan, he gave you a scare. He gave QP a scare.
In overtime, too. Overtime.
Yeah,
He had me.
thank you. That's a good reminder. He lost by 9 to Finns. He lost by, he played a close game against Dump. Honestly, Coop's always been that guy that, like, he's not gonna probably win a Super Bowl or anything like that or make a deep playoff run, but he's not the guy you want to play if you have to win a game, because he's gonna come in, he's gonna fight. Traditionally he's always done pretty well on defense, and this year it's kind of been his offense. He's done really well. I kind of wish he wouldn't have traded for Jordan Love early, because I think maybe if he could have, maybe drafted one, or maybe waited and maybe found like a Baker, or let someone develop a QB for him and then go after him. But that's Coop for me. I think he's playing close. I know they're not turning into wins, and that's all that really matters, but I'm going to share the love with him. And then on the other side, I'm going to share some love with RD, because God, he needs it. I've watched some of his streams, and you almost have to turn it down, because he has raged. This game really gets his blood pressure going. So I'm just going to spread the love to him. We all have our beef with Madden, but if I could give you a hug, RD, I certainly would, buddy. Hang in there.
Yeah, RD certainly he's living on the edge at times. It feels like. I gotta go with Field. He's 4-2, number 3 ranked scoring defense in the league. And tell you what, Field doesn't play Madden a lot. He works and he does his thing, and he's got a little bean boy in his division who, put hundreds of hours in this game already. Probably, I haven't even looked, but at least triple of probably what Fields put into Madden. And Fields beat him like the last 3 times they've played or something. It's been impressive. He has a chance to win his division again. He's lost against Matt and Deathwish, 2 guys who are unbeaten. In both games, he lost by a score each. So he's playing good football. He's got some more games up on his schedule, like Tiny and Doink. Doink is going to be a game that'll be tough, and Tiny's kind of playing good. So we'll see what Field can do. We'll see if he can keep it going. But you got to say, hey, he's playing good football, and he really did at the end of last season as well. So
I love the Field pick. I just played him. I was up 20-0, and he never quit. He fought back. And the thing is he plays to that team's strength. He doesn't abuse Lamar, but he makes you respect him, which makes it hard to call defense, because you don't want to call too much man, because then your whole team's down the field. And he utilizes Mark Andrews, his best weapon. I struggled once he started making his comeback. I didn't really have an answer for his play calls. It was either Lamar killing me or Andrews.
Yeah. No, he's playing good. Moving on to third down. What do you guys think matters more than what people give credit to, or doesn't matter? There's different features in the game, or abilities, or different traits or something. And Matt, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so I think the biggest question in all of Madden, the timeline of Madden, has been, does offensive line matter? I don't think it does. I think there's some fringe cases, maybe if you have an ability and you can utilize it. I think their tackles can get like edge protector or something like that, and I think that probably helps with like edge threat, or maybe some like really super pass rusher. I do think that QB release matters. I felt it a little bit with Trevor Lawrence last cycle, where even though he had quick draw, that long release, I just felt like, and it could have been total placebo, but I just really felt like there were throws that I would have been able to make with a better release. So I do think that matters. I don't know about this cycle, because I've only really used Herbert, and he's so good that it doesn't really matter. Another thing I don't think matters this year is carrying. I played against Bean, and Mixon has 99 carry, and he was dropping balls left and right. Just with R1 strips, not even tackle battles. But I think the tackle battles have added to where I almost feel like the way that EA coded the increased fumble chance, that they totally took carrying out of the equation, and it doesn't even matter, and it's a shame.
Yeah, Matt, that's a good list, man. Fumbles is just driving everybody insane, and I don't think the carry matters. I don't think I think what matters, what people underestimate, is if you set something up in your coaching assignments, or you set something up in a hot route on defense, like shade inside, shade outside, shade over the top, shade underneath, or you set your zone depths, or whatever you do, it's going to have a positive and a negative. And I don't think people realize that. Like, if you call pass commit and someone runs on you, they're gonna run for days on you. If what like everything that you do on the defensive end, if you call it, you have to realize there's a negative associated with it. And if you say, "Well, I'm not going to call anything. I'm just going to run a shell defense," well, we're getting farther enough into Madden where everyone knows how to beat shell defenses. So I really think people have to start paying attention to: Am I running match defense? Am I running zone drops? Am I running inside, outside shade? Am I running, pass commit? All these different things. It's probably why some of the complaints come out. And why was this so open? And why was that so open? Or why did this guy, catch this? I even saw Faz talking about it. Some games the streak's open, some games it's not. Well, you don't know what the other team's doing, and maybe they are running a defense to stop the streak. So I think everything on the defensive side of the ball, this Madden has a pro and has a con, and people need to pay attention to it.
Yeah, that's good. For me, I actually disagree with a host on the show, and I hate to say it, but it's Matt. So I think that while there's certain things in Madden you don't know for sure, it's tough to test them and their validity, but with throwing motions, I don't think that throwing motions matter as much as they don't carry as much stock or they carry more. People put more stock into them than they should, and here's why. For example, the generic 2 throwing motion is the most popular. The most quarterbacks, and when the game came out, have generic 2. And there's other ones, obviously Rodgers and I think Love have Slinger 1, and that's the best. But some Madden nerd has gone through and tested all these throwing motions, and he's proven that, yes, there is indeed a speed difference in different throwing motions. But when you compare generic 2, which is the most common one, to the slowest throwing motion, there's about a quarter second difference. Now, that's tangible, but the thing is, when you compare that to does your team have a superstar offensive line? Are you playing against guys who blitz a lot? Are you playing against guys who have crazy defensive lines? How do you pass the ball? Do you have a lot of deep, long developing crossers or corner routes that take that extra wind up? Or are you throwing a lot of drag routes and flat routes? Do you naturally hold on to the ball for a long time until the last second? There's so many different variables that I think sometimes people put so much stock into that instead of looking at things like throw under pressure or throw on the run, which to me, when I see players missing throws, it's because they get the under pressure thing at the bottom of the screen, or they're throwing on the run. Those matter more to me than the throwing release time.
Prime. Come on now. What you're doing is just a classic argument fallacy where you're saying that the only thing that matters is QB release, which we'd all agree with you that there are a lot more things that matter than just QB release.
Yeah.
But what you're looking at is outdated information, that QB releases are not just about the speed that the ball comes out, but it matters about whether it's a short pass, a medium pass, or
Yes.
a deep pass.
Which
because
is why
every release has a different time on that. So some releases are really good short, but bad deep.
Yes.
Some are good deep and bad short, but they matter.
But yes, they matter. But out of all that,
yes,
there's an average between short, deep, and long pass. And the difference in the most common one and the one that's the slowest, the absolute slowest, I mean, yeah, there's variations, but we're going off average here of the 3 different levels of passes. There's a quarter second difference. My point is not that, I mean, it's obvious, it's tangible that there is a speed difference in different motions, but people are putting too much stock in that because at the end of the day, if your play style is where you're just going to hold on to the ball longer, or if your quarterback is crappy, has a crappy throw under pressure, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as people say it does.
Oh, I agree, because the best QB in the release won't make you the best passer in the league, obviously. But
I don't know. It made Meats pretty good.
You should look at your quarterback's release and knowing whether or not they are better short, medium, or deep, and tailor your offense around that. And I don't think anyone really pays attention to those things. I think people just get out there and just say, like you said, "Oh, I saw so and so run this play, so therefore it's going to work for me." And they aren't processing all that stuff.
Yeah, no, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I don't think that people necessarily should should sign a quarterback and be like, oh crap, this guy's got generic 6 and he's got a slower release on deep passes, so I should run less deeper passes. Like I don't think it matters that much to where you should sculpt your offense. Like yeah, I just don't think it matters that much in the grand scheme of things. Madden, there's so many variables, especially in Madden, and Madden is such a random game that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make a big difference.
Can I make one prophecy?
Yes.
Dane is going to cost you the playoffs this year because your release is going to cost you.
I'll tell you this. I went 17-0, lost in playoffs. I did, but I went 17-0 with Baker Mayfield, who has the slowest release in Madden. And I didn't lose because of throwing motion. I've never lost a game because I wished a guy threw the ball 0.1000 faster than another guy.
It's gonna cost you when you need it the most. That's all I'm gonna say. It's gonna cost you.
It has never cost me, and it never will. It just never will. Because at the end of the day, if I let up 30 points a game, I should have played better defense. I shouldn't be concerned about a half of a second or a quarter of a second or 16th of a second speed on a throw. I don't think it matters. But hey, we can agree to disagree. I mean,
well, I'm glad Matt stayed out of the conversation because he has Justin Herbert and he's not allowed to talk in this conversation.
That's true.
Yeah, Herbert's my guy. What can I say?
I'll take Herbert. We're working on that trade. Let's go on to fourth down here. Who's your biggest disappointment in the cycle? We spread the love. Now it's time to put Cole in some stockings. There's some guys. I mean, I'm not going to list them all because I don't want to give away my answers, but I got some people.
Yeah, I think there's some pretty obvious ones I think will be mentioned, but I got a guy that's not quite as obvious, but I'm really kind of disappointed because of the way that his season ended last year, and that's Monty. Monty gave me everything he could. He pushed me to the wire. He's right on the cusp of a Super Bowl. Now he's come back this season, and Monty has 3 losses. Get this. In those 3 losses, he's given up 151 points.
Wow.
He's averaging 50 points a loss. Like, okay, we've all been there. We've all gotten blown out on one game here or there, but 3 of his losses have been by the average of giving up 50 points a game. You can't be a good player in this league, Monty, if you think you're going to give up 50 points a game. And so I'm just disappointed in Monty because he hasn't taken that step. And it looks like whatever he did last year was just a total fluke, and he's going back to where we thought he was.
Yeah, I was gonna jump on the Monty bandwagon too, just because that's a really good team. We've seen when Monty's playing well, I think, oh man, this guy, he's gonna be the cream of the crop in the NFC. He might be the guy that can upset Dan or QP in the playoffs, maybe make a Super Bowl. And then when he plays bad, I'm just like, geez, what was I thinking the last time I thought he could upset QP and Dan? But so it's just a game by game with Monty. His losses, he's like Dan said, he's giving up 50 points a game. I think he'll be fine at the end of the day. He'll figure it out. His offense is good enough. With Gutta, I mean, it's tough. My biggest disappointment with Gutta is the Malik Willis trade. Gutta's a good defensive player with that team, which is an old aging defense. He's got a good defensive user, but he trades for Malik Willis, 2 first-round picks. You're destroying your future. Now you can't really, fix that aging defense. And Malik Willis, no one has to respect you as a passer. The good players are just going to counter it. You might be able to get away with it and beat some of the other guys, the lesser guys, but the good players, they're going to make you beat him with Malik Willis, and they have. And he's 0-6 right now, and he's had a tough schedule. I get it. 0-5, 0-6. He hasn't won a game. That's all I know. And it's been a tough schedule, but he made the playoffs. He was on the verge of beating QP the first time. I expect more out of him. But I think my overarching one real quick is Paulie. Always been a really strong competitor in the league. I think the first season, I'm not going to count that one, obviously, but, he didn't really make much of a run. He doesn't really put a lot of fear into guys like he used to. He's 2-3 right now. Lost to Meats, who Meats looks lost with Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's not the same guy he was with Rodgers.
Did you hear that stat that Prime mentioned real quick on Meats? He was 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions before going last game.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a totally different player with Hurts, and not in a good way. And he got absolutely flooded by Prime, and we've seen this when he plays the better competition. Normally, Paulie's right there, but he's not. So I want to see Paulie take that next step and get back to where he was.
No, that's good. I think that's good. For me, I hate to even say this because this guy's my guy, and maybe this will motivate him. I'm gonna go QP. Um, he lost to Clinky. He really should have lost to Coop, and he played Fins kind of closer than he should have. He's 13th scoring offense right now. I just, I, I don't know if Q's broken. I don't know. It's been a while since he's won a Super Bowl. He's lost a lot of Super Bowls. Um, it seems like his competitive spirit is broken right now. And I know Dan just beat him in the playoffs. I'm just worried about QP's long term, um, just his long term grit. You know, he was kind of the poster child of last cycle a little bit, and now he's been around. He has the X on his back now, and I was kind of expecting him to be resurgent, and he really hasn't been. And I'm just worried about him. I'm a little disappointed, especially with this Cardinals team, which wasn't the same team it was last year, but it's still a pretty darn good team. So, yeah, just a little disappointed.
Wow, that's a shocker. I wasn't expecting you going that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Man,
I'm gonna take responsibility. I think I broke him in the
yeah,
Super Bowl.
yeah.
you think not QB winning
Yeah.
the Lombardi over him just
Yeah.
ended his life?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
it is sad.
man.
I respect Matt.
he's a good guy. Yeah,
He's
he's
a
a good
good guy.
guy. So I feel bad.
Speaking of good guys, Matt, you always do a Matt 5. What do you got for us?
Yeah. So at number 5, I've got QB.
Ah!
Yeah, get QP out of here. So QB, hey, 5-1. He's got wins over, well, almost the entire NFC South, which I would say is one of the better divisions when you look at just the people in it. His only losses to me, I think I just had his number this cycle. So I'm not going to hold that against him. He blew the brakes off of Monty, beat Clink and Dump by 2 scores, 3 scores over Clink. And Clink is QP's only loss. So I mean, I have to give the nod to QB. At number 4, I've got DW. Hey, whether you believe in DW or not, the guy is 5-0. He's beat everybody on his schedule, and what more can you say about that? He's got some really tough games coming up, like I mentioned earlier. So we'll see if he's on here the next time we record. At number 3, I've got myself. I think my resume not quite impressive as far as who I've beaten, but I do have that win over QB. Yeah, I've got myself. I think for me, I've only thrown 2 interceptions, which has been huge for me. And I've got a win over Bean, who say what you will, and I got a win over Field, who's currently a division leader and a playoff team, and he played me really well. At number 2, I've got Dan. Dan's got some close games. He's got a close game against you know the likes of Coop. Coop took him to overtime. But he's got that nice win over Clink. But when I watch Dan play, even in the Coop game, I feel like Dan knows his identity on both sides of the ball, and I think that's really important. So when you watch Dan play, you don't really feel like he's in a whole lot of trouble because I feel like he knows who he is and he's composed and he can make those drives. He knows what he wants to call in certain situations. So I've been impressed just watching Dan on both sides of the ball, even in games where he might not be at his best. And then at number 1, I mean, I know people are gonna talk about this, but I mean, who else are you going to put here? It's got to be Prime.
Yes.
I mean, you got to look at the resume. He's 6-0. He's got wins over. He just beat Faz, who was in the Super Bowl, and will continuously be a contender in the Super Bowl. And not only that, but Faz has played Prime numerous times at this point. Knows exactly what he wants to do, and couldn't beat him. He held him for just a little over 100 yards passing. Still couldn't beat him. He's got wins over Gutta, say what you want, but he is a playoff contender. He's got 2 wins over RD, who has won Lombardi before. He's got the dominating win over Pauly, 40-6. I mean, I was amped for that game, and it was over before I tuned in. And then he's got the week 1 win over Bomber by 24 points. So you've got the most impressive resume. I think you've got the most wins since you've played that 6th game, and so Prime is at the top of the list.
Yeah. No, it's an honor. It truly is, and I don't take it lightly. I'll say this right now.
Yeah, let me say one thing real quick.
Go ahead.
I do want to give a shout out to Prime because the route he went in the offseason by trading Baker, by drafting that cornerback, was a very, very smart move. That's exactly what I was planning on doing with my entertaining of trading Lance away. I think what Prime did there is gonna set him up for a second half run here in the cycle. And so I will give you credit for that, Prime. That was a good move.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. I'll say this, and I'm a humble guy, but I'm going undefeated this season. I'm going undefeated this season, and I know season 1 went poorly, but the 20 for 20, the whole thing is back on, and I'm feeling good. You know, I had some stuff going on, and I fell against QB stud, and I'm disappointed in myself. But I've learned that my destiny is not to fade in the shadows, but it's instead to rise from the ashes like a phoenix. So just stay tuned for that. I'm going to go 20 for 20 this year and for title 20.
Well, I guarantee you won't get 20, but you'll get 19. So I'm rooting for you to get 19.
Wow, thanks, Dan. I appreciate you.
You got 3 key games. Week 11, Bro Bowl. Fields going to want that one. He's playing well. Week 16, Faz. Week 17, myself.
Yes. Hey, some of the best rivalries in the SML, baby. Let's do it.
That's right.
Guys, that's SML Total Access. That was Matt. That was Dan. And I'm Prime Time. Guys, thanks for listening. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a safe holiday month. And hey, go Colts, baby.